Yes, we all know. Yes, we really do all know. Excess alcohol isn't good for you. Smoking isn't good for you. Huge consumption of sugary drinks and bad food isn't good for you. I think we all actually know that. And yet the reaction from our government has been to clamp down with alcohol taxes, astonishing tobacco taxes and bans on smoking. In fact, everywhere you look, the government is telling us what we can't do, attempting to ban us and taxing us to the hilt. The only exception being vapes, where we appear to have taken very little action. And really interesting that the Institute of Economic Affairs, they have said to us that we're the number one nanny state in Europe, and yet is our health getting any better? No, actually, as a country, it's declining. Is there a better way of doing this? Well, I'm joined by Wilfred Emmanuel-Jones MBE, farmer, food entrepreneur, and of course you have your Black Farmer range of products.
And you've had a chance of trying some of my
products.
Brilliant.
You know, I mean, all of it. I like the vodka particularly, but oh gosh, hey, I'll be in trouble here as well.
But listen, everything you've just said about people know what's right for them, we should leave it down to people to make decisions about what drink and what food that they consume. But what has been happening over the last 10, 15 years is that governments have been going to the supermarkets, been going to the manufacturers and saying to them, OK, someone has come up with some report that's saying the reason for obesity is your fault, Mr. Supermarket, your fault, manufacturer, and therefore we want you to put less salt in, less sugar in, less fat in. And the bottom line is this, the three things that make food taste good is fat, salt and sugar. Now, all you've got to do is have the self-discipline of knowing how much you have.
You're not preaching.
I'm telling you
what. You're not saying
this is
that we should have personal responsibility.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, we're getting into a society where it's always someone else's fault.
I agree.
Rather than actually people saying or knowing it's down to them. And our food industry are really starting to dictate to people what they can and cannot consume. And so one of the reasons I launched my brand, for example, is that a lot of the products, when they're out there and they're quite bland, they're bland because the things that make it taste good have been taken out. And so it gave people like me an opportunity to do something about giving it a great taste. Now, if you eat my sausage all day long, you're going to have a serious problem, not only with obesity, it's not going to be good for you. So I'm not advocating that. What I'm advocating to people is that they take some responsibility. And there's certain things the supermarkets have now started to do because it's been dictated to them by government. Do you remember when you used to be able to go into the supermarkets and you'd be able to have your sweets right at the till and all that? That's now gone. It's had to be put right at the back of the store because they don't think we can be responsible enough.
Temptation must be removed.
We can't allow people to make their own choices. We have to put it into the back of the store. So that's what they've started to do, is the things that we like when we want to give ourselves a treat, we've now got to go wandering for it. And I just don't think that is sort of acceptable. And it's these groups that are going out, doing this research and saying, this is the reason why people are having these health conditions. So therefore, government, you do something about it.
If we go back a few years, you were a Conservative Party activist, you were a parliamentary candidate, you are a libertarian, you believe, and you've expounded it very fully and very passionately, that actually we take responsibility for our lives. We don't want to live in a nanny state. It doesn't work anyway. How is it this party that you were so much a part of has gone down this route?
It's as though you are talking to a socialist government. The type of things that have now been taken as part of the mainstream is really shocking. And then gone are the days when we had, one of my great favourites was Thatcherism, that actually agreed and recognised that people are much better if they're giving some responsibility to look after themselves. And it seems that the woke brigade are the ones who are now trying to dictate to us what we should and shouldn't do with our lives. And I just think it comes a time when somebody has to stand up and say, it is enough. And it's as though, actually, that's what the country is crying out for. Someone who's brave enough to say, we don't want to take this nonsense anymore. We want to be able to be given the freedom to do things ourselves.
Our problems are not all because somebody else has done it
exactly
to us.
Right.
We've done it to ourselves.
Exactly right.
It's very interesting, Wilfred, having you back on the programme.
I'm sorry, Nigel, but I could be yakking for ages.
No, because actually what you've just preached, what you've spoken about, would now be seen by many other broadcasters to be uncaring, that you have literally abdicated the role of government in making our lives better. You're saying we've got to stand up as grown-ups on our own 2 feet, look after ourselves and make our own decisions.
And could I just say one thing that really irritates me? There's a lot of people who make a lot of money by telling the rest of us what we should do with our lives. It's those people we should be getting rid of. It's amazing. There's a massive industry out there of these so-called people telling us, those of us down there, actually do what we say rather than do what you want.
Maybe there's a role here for the church and the schools to teach these concepts of personal responsibility too.
Well, I just think in all families, we have to recognise that you come into this world on your own. What we do as parents is that we give our children the skills they need to be able to go out there in this world and make something of their own, rather than think it's going to be handed down to them. We've got into a culture where people somehow feel they're owed it. It's handed down to them.
I agree.
It's not acceptable.